Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah.
I would like to call the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners public hearing for the fiscal year 2020 County Administrator's Budget Recommendation public hearing to order. Mr. Merrill?
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. This is a public hearing, and we are not planning to make a presentation because the purpose is to hear from the public. So, but of course, if there are questions, we'll answer them. Before we start the public hearing, as you and I discussed, because I know your offices maybe or are getting emails about a untrue statement that the county has decided to go to one-time garbage collection, I wanted to take this opportunity to say that no decision has been made. We're trying to figure out where that rumor started, and we are pushing information out to neighborhoods and homeowners associations and to the media to be sure that people understand no decision has been made. We've asked residents in public meetings and in surveys what they feel about collection, but that was just gauge sentiment. So anyway, no decision's been made, and we'll of course bring that back to you. The only other thing I would mention, I know that those who are here to speak concerning affordable housing noted that there is a line item in the budget that is actually mislabeled for the $10 million. It says affordable housing study. That's just a mistake carried forward. It's the $10 million is there for affordable housing projects. And so the wording is just incorrect in the budget. We'll fix it, but we're not spending $10 million on a study of affordable housing. So just so you know. Huh? And it's recurring, so.
Okay, and if you were going to speak on that, it would be wise not to, because every time you speak, we'll be deducting $1 million.
We're done. So with that, you can open it up for public comment.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address any issues concerning the budget to the board, please step forward. Each person have 3 minutes.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Lois Price. You just knocked out half my discussion, so this will shorten it. I am a member of First United Church of Tampa, and I'm a Hope Board member. I'm a 69-year-old widow. I work as a software engineer since I live in Northwest Hillsborough County. Since I sold my single-family home 7 years ago, I've been renting an apartment that's 2 miles from work and about a mile from my mother's facility. She's 93 years old. The monthly rent was well within my budget 7 years ago, but and that was allowing me to save for retirement and to help out my grandchildren who were college bound. In 7 years, my rent has increased 60%. Knowing that I won't be able to afford this ever increasing rent after I retire, I'll be moving out next month. I'm not in crisis. There's no problem there, but and I don't qualify for low-income housing. But all around me in the apartment complex, I see families moving out because they can't afford the increasing rent. I have 3 colleagues at Nielsen who are recent college grads, and they were sharing a 3-bedroom apartment. They had to move out after a year because the rents went up, and they tell me that they've moved into a complex where the maintenance is not being taken care of. So I know that there are a lot of stories out there, but you know that too. You're all aware of that. We're excited and really encouraged that you are addressing this problem and that there will be $10 million recurring in 2020 and 2021.
It's now down to $9 million.
I'm sorry. Okay, we're hoping for that.
No, you're not that.
We were a little curious about a line item. I will remove the question about study. But on page 375, there are funds that are allocated in the non-departmental allotments. and it's not, I didn't understand the non-departmental. Does that mean that it will still be managed by the Department of Affordable Housing? Or will some other entity be responsible for administering that? I was curious about that. And
It
if
will
you-
still be under affordable housing.
Yes.
Okay, so it's dedicated to affordable
Yes,
housing?
it is.
Okay, well, that takes care of it. My other question you've already answered, so thank you so much.
Okay, now, I now have a list, so I'm gonna call names out, since that, and you were first, thank you.
Yeah,
Scott Levinson, followed by Gretchen Delvazio,
Good evening. My name's Scott Levinson, live at 4809 Wynwood Drive, Tampa, and I am here representing the Tampa Bay Youth Football League, our 3,500 kids and 700 volunteers, and I'm not here to complain. I wanted to come here tonight and give, I guess we can call it a shout out to the Parks and Rec Department, the current work they're doing, refurbishing the fields, getting the maintenance back in line, providing better surfaces for the kids, which in turn provides a better experience. I know in my league, 70% of our league is lower income. We charge a $45 fee, which some of them still struggle, and this is their social, recreational, and disposable income. And I just wanted to come up here today, say what a great job they're doing. Rick Valdez leading the department, of course with your support, providing the money. And I just wanted to say thank you for our children, for our families, and for the community.
thank you, sir, we appreciate that, Ms. Levinson, thank you. Gretchen Delvazio, followed by Gary Cloud.
Good evening, Commissioners. I want to acknowledge that this is, Gretchen Del Savio. I'm from St. Andrews United Methodist Church in Brandon, and I'm a member of Hope. And I want to acknowledge that this is an historic night for affordable housing. For 6 years, we've been talking, and now there is action. Thank you. And we look forward to the details of the ordinance, especially for people at 50% and below the area median income. And please start getting the RFPs out. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary Cloud, followed by Charles Lurch.
Good evening, Mr. Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. Gary Cloyd, Transit Advocate. Wanted to make mention that in the last couple of years, the grants that have been coming into the county on from the Housing and Urban Development, and as that goes forward here in the next 2 to 3 years, this will help with the transit capital investment grants and those kind of things as you guys are looking to budget certain things for HART. And I wanted to make that clear because this is a good indicator. In the last 2 years, there was probably anywhere from $30 to $45 million in grants across the board for the county, so that's a good indicator. And as you get ready to do projects to include the streetcar with the help of the city, this is a real positive step in the right direction. The other thing I wanted to point out is there has to be a more cost-effective way for the Sunshine Line to move people around town. At $39 per trip, the HART Plus system is down to $8 round trip. If there is a way that you can get a budget assessment of the Sunshine Line and see if HART can help with some of that, you're probably going to save somewhere between $300,000 to $420,000. And so I wanted you to look at that because that number stood out at me. And I believe that there were 6,229 people that used the Sunshine Line in the last calendar year. So I would look at the budgetary things overall. And if there's other departments that have cost-effective issues, this would be important because I know a couple years ago you guys looked at almost reducing some manpower in the county. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles Lurch, followed by Deborah Livingston.
Good evening. I'm Shari Lurch from Nativity Catholic Church, a member congregation of Hope. Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the increase in the recurring funding of $10 million for the county administrator's recommended budget. We are so glad to see it here. I ask that every commissioner please approve the recommendation for at least $10 million in recurring funds when the time comes to vote. I do have a few questions. On the top of page 374 of the recommended budget, it shows a balance of $5 million being brought forward. Was the $1.6 million that was already committed for the 2020 budget spent, or will it be spent or included? And why is it not reflected in the 2020 budget proposal? Are you gonna, okay. Should I go on while he's thinking about it? I'll get an answer.
Tom Fessler. Yes, so the way that we did it is there was $5 million in affordable housing last year, and then I believe there were some dollars that were basically set aside to be reconsidered in the upcoming budget. So basically, the $10 million replaced the 1.6. So we ended up with what we have in the current budget is $15 million. We have $5 million that was committed last year that's being carried over that has not been expended yet, plus an additional $10 million of new money. So there's a total of $15 million in the budget.
Great. Thank you for clearing that up. So you passed the motion on April 17, directing your staff to draft an affordable housing fund ordinance. And what is the status of the draft ordinance? Because we are in the budget process now, and
Yes, and there is a draft that's been prepared. I heard that we were bringing it forward,
I think August 7th.
August 7th.
August
So I think
7th.
that's our next board meeting. And of course, the process is to bring the ordinance for everybody to see and for the board to have an opportunity to comment on it and set it for public hearing. So most likely, the public hearing would be August 21.
Great, thank you so much. So, I mean, we do know that that ordinance needs to be clearly defined how the monies will be spent, because without an ordinance, it will not go to the people who are deserving of it the most. And I think that the term affordable needs to be defined as well and clearly stated in that. So, but as we have shared before, the experience from existing housing funds around the county show that every $1 for affordable housing fund can leverage another $8 million in more public and private monies for the development of housing. So that $10 million can leverage another $80 million to create around 500 more units. So I just really wanted to re-emphasize that, make sure that we're all on the same page, and thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you. Deborah Livingston, followed by Geraldine Rogers-Toombs.
Hello. My name is Deborah Livingston. I'm also a parishioner of Nativity Catholic Church, which is a member of the Hope Organization. I also happen to be the owner of a small business in Hillsborough County in the Brandon area. I have about 100 employees. I hit that milestone this year. I pay my employees well over the minimum wage. Actually well above $15 an hour. And I'm continuing to be shocked about how difficult it is for my employees to make ends meet, even though I pay them a fair salary for the work they perform. These are the people that need affordable housing. I'm thrilled to hear about the $15 million in the budget, and I'm very thankful for you guys passing that. I also would like to encourage an ordinance to clearly define how this money will be used, the income level it serves, who can access it, how it is accessed, and who manages it. We need clarity, not just a line item that can mean anything. One of my employees recently became ineligible for affordable housing due to a $1 an hour increase. She begged me to take the money back. That's just not good. How can these people get ahead? A $1 an hour increase. Her rent went from $500 a month, to $1,100 a month. I ended up giving her a loan so she could move. We have to ensure that this money is prioritized for the needed workforce who have wages at $32,000 and below, for they're the ones who suffer the most and have very few options for decent housing that's affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. Geraldine Rogers-Toombs, followed by Barbara Tope. Topke, okay.
Good evening. I'm Geraldine Rogers Toombs. First, I would like to commend Commissioner Merman for her commitment to keep families together and her concern for abused and neglected children. And basically, that's why we're here, because we know that stable housing and alleviating financial problems will perhaps enhance the quality of life for many people. And the politicians are constantly stating how great our economy is. But who is it good for? Certainly not that working class community. And we need to acknowledge that. And oftentimes, people are saying, well, $15 an hour is a living wage. Well, I beg to differ. I think that a family of 3 or 4 living on $30,000 a year will still be struggling. And, and the thing is that, what we're advocating for is for you all to make a commitment to assist those people who income is approximately 50% or below the average median income, but not only just with rental property, but also to provide some opportunities for home ownership and providing adequate support in order to help people achieve those goals. The other question is that we know that the economy is not good for working class people, and when people are saying that if a person has an emergency, they can't even come up with $400, that's a problem. And so what we're asking is, what type of commitment are you all making? What is your real commitment for affordable housing? Is it just for the 2 years, or are we making a long-term commitment? Are we going to try to do something for at least 10 years out, or are we just going to, do it year by year, be kind of flexible? But we need long-term commitment for this particular situation. And I'm not here asking for anything for myself. I'm here to advocate for those that are in need. I'm not in need. And we know that the problem is enormous. So the question is, how long out are we planning to help or to improve the quality of life with affordable housing? And we need a dedicated, ongoing funding source in order to address this situation. And also, I do want to thank you, though. I do want to thank you and express gratitude for the commitment that you're making at this time. But the commitment, we know 2 years from now, people aren't going to be any better off oftentimes when you're looking at minimum wage being less than $8 an hour.
Ms. Toombs.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Ms. Toombs.
Yes.
The $10 million is recurring. Have you looked at the budget?
Yeah, recurring, but what does that mean? Define that.
It's going to be in every year.
Every year, praise God, when all blessings flow. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Commissioner, for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
God bless you all,
Bless you too.
and may He shine upon you.
If you beat me up, you tell me God bless me. I appreciate that.
Well, I believe, so I'm just,
All right,
a servant.
Thank
so
you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Barbara Topke.
Hello, my name is Barb Tepke, and I'm a member of St. Paul Lutheran. I attend St. Paul Lutheran Church, which is a member of Hope. I just wanted to remind everybody about the facts concerning affordability. Housing affordability is spending no more than 30% of your income on housing costs. The figures from Hope says for 2016, that was 104,000 families spent 50% or more on housing costs, with 74,000 of these families at incomes of 32,000 and less. So 32,000 is half of the area median income of $64,000 for a family of 4. Wages of over 100,000 workers who contribute to our economy have incomes below what's needed for housing, leaving tens of thousands of families severely cost-burdened. Cashiers at $9 an hour, cooks at $10 an hour, that's up to $20,000 a year. Nurses, aides, and preschool teachers around $12 an hour are hit the hardest, struggling to afford decent housing. The minimum wage in Florida is currently $8.50 an hour, so that translates to around $17,000 a year. And in 2019, people would have to make $22.86 per hour to afford the average rent of $1,190 a month. So, a lot of money. Thank you for considering those who need affordable housing.
That is the last speaker I have on my speakers roll call. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board tonight? Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We're now in board discussion concerning what we've heard tonight. Board discussion, anyone want to speak on what we heard tonight? Nope. Seeing none, we adjourn.